Hey, Cardinal fans, this is Jared and Chris from Cardinals Nation 24/7 coming to you with an impromptu podcast to celebrate the re signing of Cardinals great pitcher Adam Wainwright. Chris, how are you, my friend?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Fantastic. I see you're impromptu at the house. I'm still at the office. I'm at Busch Stadium. I'm here at
Yeah,
we got a packed house. COVID be damned. We're celebrating Wainwright's back.
nice.
But we wanted to jump on and talk uh, to each other and kind of discuss it. So everyone on the pages can kind of hear our thoughts, and feel free to provide your input in the comments below. But Wayno's coming back 1 year, 8 million. Chris, did you think the deal was going to get done?
I gut feeling I thought that the Cardinals would end up bringing Wainwright back. I'm not sure that 8 million is kind of what I had in mind. Doesn't hurt my feelings any. Um, but yeah, I had a gut feeling that it was either re-signing with the Cardinals for a year or he was going to hang it up. Despite some of the reports out there that he had some offers from San Diego or elsewhere, I was pretty sure it'd be the Cardinals or he would hang them up.
That's what I thought too. I was kind of curious. He had kind of toyed with the whole broadcasting thing at the end of last year and did some color commentary in the playoffs, which I thought he did a really good job with. And I'm thinking to myself that's probably going to be his future when he hangs it up for good. Or I could definitely see him coaching or being a special instructor from someone like the Cardinals, at least in spring training, kind of a la Jim Edmonds. But I agree with you. I didn't see 8 million. I thought that was a pretty good number, more than I thought, especially with the COVID thing. The Cardinals didn't seem like they wanted to budge at all, but they got a deal done, which is great. I think the news recently of allowing some fans at spring training and looking like they're going to be able to at least sell some tickets to games. And I saw this morning that they had re-upped their offers to both Wainwright and Molina, so I think that helps. Nothing from Wong yet, but 8 million 1 year, and I just kind of wanted to rehash to give everyone and myself. I know we talked ahead of time before we jumped on here, just to kind of rehash to see what he had made. But after post arbitration, 08 to 13, he signed a $15 million contract with a $750,000 signing bonus. He was making just under 4 million a year. And then 2014 to 2018 is when he made the big money. He signed a $97.5 million deal, making 19.5 million a year. And those were his bread money years, but those were also, I think, his most injury prone years. He had a couple of really good years till he got hurt. We also know we went 2011 without him, which would have been a big help. And that year, Carp had to carry the load, which basically ended his career.
Right.
2019, he kind of died off at the end of 18 and wasn't really the same quality pitcher we all thought he was. And he signed a $2 million contract and came out and pitched amazing for the Cardinals. And then he parlayed that into a $5 million deal last year, but he had incentives with games, with incentives for games pitched that could have made him an extra 5 million. So everyone thought he's going to make an easy 10 million this year. Well, it was a COVID season. They didn't play as many games, so he didn't get to make as many starts. So he made just over 6 million. So $8 million. He's going to make more this year than he did the last 2 years combined. But he's pitched for that, and I think the last 2 years, I just wanted to go back and look at the stats. He's 19 and 13 with an ERA of 3.91, which is under 4, which is pretty good. We've been seeing a lot of good pitchers make a lot more. We've seen a lot of bad pitchers make a lot more than 8 million. So I still think COVID friendly. I think he could have made more somewhere else, but I think he wanted to stay a Cardinal. The Cardinals wanted him, and Cardinals Nation definitely wanted him. So I mean, where do you put this? You're making the starting lineup, for opening day. How do you slot Adam Wainwright at? I mean, he's probably not your ace anymore, but he's not your number 5 guy. I mean, he was probably our most consistent pitcher last year. What are your thoughts on where do you slot him and how he helps the team?
Well, that's kind of tough. He's definitely not your ace guy anymore, and I do think he's probably better than your 5th starter. But he's probably in the middle of the pack because I'm sure that Flaherty is going to be their number 1. With Michaelis coming back, I'd say he's got probably the best opportunity to be slotted as a number 2. Um, but with Hudson out, I could see Wainwright being your three, if not a four pitcher,
Mhm.
somewhere in there, three or four pitcher, I'd say. I mean, especially when you've got kind of the starting rotations up for grabs with starters like Gomber and Martinez. You just don't know who's going to take the reins and run with it. But Wainwright coming back, I think for sure a three or four starter.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe for sure, maybe even three. I think Nicholas will be kind of cautious. He's one of the only guys we have under a long term contract with, uh, Hudson, who's obviously not going to be pitching next year with Tommy John surgery. But I also looked up some of his numbers. He's third in wins for St. Louis Cardinals pitchers in all of their history. Uh, Gibson is number one, of course, at 251, and then Jesse Haynes has 210. Don't think he's going to catch Bob Gibson unless he pitches until he's 55. But he is second in strikeouts, which people forget about. He's got 1,830. Gibson obviously is the Cardinals leader at 3,117. So I think if Waino gets like 1,200 strikeouts this year, he can pass Bob Gibson. Maybe 13. Maybe my math is off. Maybe 1,300 strikeouts. So I don't think that's going to happen either. But
No.
nonetheless, it's great. I think this is good for Cardinals Nation. It's good for the front office because it kind of takes some pressure off of them. People were upset about the Wong deal and not knowing what's going to happen with Yachty. I think it kind of takes the front office off of the hot seat a little bit because they've managed to accomplish bringing back one of their legends and what could be his final year. So I think that's a big deal for us, for the franchise, and I think it's a big deal for Wainwright. I don't think he would like to have his final game at Busch Stadium with nobody in the seats. But where do you think this puts things with Yadier Molina? I know you've been following him close, and you posted something that he had shared on Instagram earlier that kind of looked like maybe him and Waino might both be gone. And then we heard the Padres were after Wainwright just earlier, not even 12 hours ago. So where do you think that puts the Cardinals with, Yadier Molina?
Well, I think Molina, especially with his Instagram posts, he's been a little bit cryptic on, or not really cryptic, but teasing a little bit of what he's going to do. Should he retire? I'm not saying he's playing the fans at all, but I think he's just having fun with Instagram. Some people get really butthurt about how he's going about it, and I don't know. When I saw that today, and really the last week, he's put several posts up, but
Yeah.
I took it one of two ways with a picture of them together, and it was kind of like a decision had been made. Is kind of the way I took it. Now, hearing that Wainwright has that contract, I can only imagine that Molina will be back either on a 1 or 2 year deal. I cannot imagine Wainwright just coming back with Molina going somewhere else. I think that they've talked privately. That's been mentioned that they kind of wanted to go out together. Um, I don't think Molina's just wanting that 1 year deal, but with the market the way that it is, and that may be all he gets, I, I just think that it's more likely than not that Molina will be back at least on a 1 year deal to wrap it up with Wainwright.
Mhm. I think so too. I kind of think it forces his hand, and I think if he walks away, depending on how much money, I think in this case, if he doesn't come back to the Cardinals, he should retire because unless he goes to another team and signs a huge contract, a lot of people are going to be upset. And I think it will tarnish his legacy with St. Louis. St. Louis fans hold things very personal, but we're very passionate. Everyone hated Pujols for such a long period of time. A lot of people that were diehard fans were not happy. They still respected what he did for the Cardinals, but weren't happy with the way he left. And I think that's one reason Major League Baseball kept him out of St. Louis for so long until 2019. And when he came back, all those hard feelings were gone, but everybody loved him again. And it was awesome seeing him play and seeing him hit that home run. I don't want to get carried away, but I feel like Albert and Yachty have those similar parallels with St. Louis, starting at the same time. They were very close friends. And then you kind of don't have this. Yachty is definitely very more public and more animated about it than Albert was, but you kind of see the same thing. I think if he goes somewhere else, it will tarnish his legacy with the Cardinals, just like it did Albert, even if it is for a lot of money. So I think this definitely does force his hand because I know he wants to finish as a Cardinal. He said it before. I know he wants to pitch with Wainwright also. So I think this kind of helps scoot him closer and maybe also lessens the financial burden of the Cardinals having to overpay. And I'm hoping they can try to find a way to bring Wong back. So I also want to ask you, Colton Wong posted a tweet and said
Yeah.
at least the Cardinals have made one good move this offseason. And then he said hashtag go get Yachty. He didn't mention himself, but we kind of knew where he was going with that, what he was insinuating. What do you think
Right.
about Colton Wong? You know, a lot of people were after Molina, supposedly, a lot of teams, a lot of people are after Wong. Well, we've seen a lot of guys in a quiet offseason, a lot of people come off the board. What do you think is going to happen with Wong? Where do you think this puts him, or do you think it goes on what happens with Molina?
It's hard to say on that too. I know the market for Wong, you got to read these articles where several teams were interested, but obviously he was a fallback option to somebody like a DJ LeMahieu, and definitely wasn't going to require that much of a contract money wise to get a player. Us turning down his option, I understand it with it being a $12 million option. um, Wong's glove, obviously, his defense is something that the team is going to miss
Mm-hmm.
if we don't bring him back. Offensively, with the amount of money that he's bringing in, I'm not ready to say I'm anointing Tommy Edman as knowing he can do better every day. But Wong offensively isn't head and shoulders better offensively. So I think money wise, the 12.5 million, I can understand the Cardinals not wanting to go that route, but um, I haven't really heard any teams heavily in on Colton Wong. It's just kind of speculation. But
Mm-hmm.
the way he kind of put that out there, I don't think he was bitter. I think it was kind of in a joking manner. I watched him on MLB Network the other day, and he didn't express much about a return to St. Louis. He said he wasn't opposed and wanted to play where he was wanted and would look to what was best for him and his family.
Right.
So I'm not sure. I think if Molina comes back, it depends on what that contract looks like. If they're going to want to spend more on bringing Wong back, or if Wong has a better offer out there than what we're willing to negotiate, if we even are at this point.
I think so too. I like Tommy Edman, but I like Tommy Edman as a super utility guy. I think we saw 2 years ago he did really well, and then he came back last year, I think, and probably underperformed in our eyes. There was a lot of stuff going on this season, but I think all the fans thought, oh, he did so great in 2019, he was going to duplicate that. I don't think any of us that follow closely were expecting that, but he had a lot of he even had some mental issues. I think playing every day, we saw a lot of costly errors and some stuff over at third base, especially in the playoffs, that cost us pretty big. I like him as a super utility. I don't think if they don't sign Wong, I don't think we need to go find another second baseman. But I definitely like the idea of having Wong, especially with our pitching, his defensive run saved, helping keep guys off base. And then if we don't add another bat, we need more help preventing runs, which takes me back to also Molina. You have to look at his value to the Cardinals in multiple ways. And I think that it's not just people say, oh, his bat, his bat's not as good. His defense is down where it used to be. His defense is down where it used to be. He's an older guy. He's our age. We're old. We're falling apart. We look like hell. He looks way better than we do. Obviously, he's a professional athlete and he makes a little more money, so he can afford to work out.
Yeah.
But I think you have to take into account his ability to work with the pitching staff. The pitcher's ERA, I think, is a huge difference. I think a lot of those guys you see, especially people like Carlos Martinez, guys like that, get in their own head. Molina's quick to take that under control, and guys don't give him any crap about it. He's not going to go out and they're not going to blow him off or have a little tuffle about who's right. People are going to take his direction. He's our field general. That's pretty obvious. Every manager we've had has said that in the past. He takes over control of the game. I think that's huge. He does his research on hitters, on how to pitch to people. He calls time in when it's needed and doesn't overuse his mound visits. I think that's a huge thing that fans and the casual fan that watch it and know the team's doing good. I'm going to buy a T-shirt and watch and go to a ball game. I know everything. Molina's the best. He is still one of the best catchers. I think he should still be in the top 10 because catchers in general are weak. I think Realmuto's a good catcher. I don't see the hype with him. I don't think he deserved the money he got. I thought that was ridiculous. I didn't see him getting that much money, but I knew he was going to get a big deal. But I don't think he's that great. But you have to look at Yachty is still a hitter. I still won't like him batting in the clutch, especially with our current lineup. I think if we have bases loaded and the game's tight, I still like seeing Molina with that bat. Him or Goldschmidt are the only two that I really trust in those tense situations. And whenever you don't have a good hitting lineup like we don't have, when a lot of people got worse last year, you need Molina because no matter what, defensively or catching a game, calling a game, he's not as good. People still don't run on him because he still throws up way more than an average catcher does. And even that threat of him throwing you out is going to keep guys from advancing on base or taking that extra base or going home. He's always checking the runner from behind the plate, not just the pitcher.
Right.
And I think his ability to handle the game pitching staff wise is something we need, especially when our runs are limited. We can't let guys go out and score 4-5 runs because that'll lose us a game. If we don't go get a couple bats, that's where guys like Molina and Wong, not to get off topic of Bueno, come into play because you have to limit runs, have good defense, and both those guys accomplish that and have established himself. And I like that Wong got better with his bat last year and still was a Gold Glove all-star defenseman. He wasn't trying to smash home runs. We saw that he was hitting to all fields. He was hitting to left. He was going both ways. He wasn't just pulling the ball. Carpenter still hasn't figured that out. He's been trying to do it for years, and he still hasn't. And I thought Wong definitely had his best year last year, and I thought he was a bargain at that contract. COVID obviously didn't work out in his favor to get his contract renewed or pick up that option, but I think he's a valuable asset. But I don't think if they don't sign him, it's the end of the world. But and we need to go get someone else. But I would definitely like to see him back.
Oh yeah, I'd written an article earlier on about, and not saying that he should or shouldn't, but just imagining that if the Cardinals were to renegotiate a deal, bringing Wong back on a 4 or 5 year deal, and he finished his career in St. Louis, would he be one day a St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer? Obviously, he's not going to be good enough to be a Major League Hall of Famer, but the numbers that he's put up in the last 7 or 8 seasons, and really just on longevity alone, those numbers are going to just keep piling up. And I think he'd had a really good shot if he ended his career in St. Louis of one day having a red jacket. I think it's a no-brainer that Wainwright and Molina both will. But I'll be sad to see Wong go if he doesn't come back. I think he's got a good clubhouse presence, and like you were talking about with Molina, a lot of people just look at the numbers statistically, and they don't look at what he brings to the pitching staff. And I don't know what kind of value you can put on that. A lot of people like to play armchair general manager, and they like to criticize how Mozeliak and DeWitt handle what somebody's worth, or if we're overpaying, or it's really a mixed bag on people wanting to move on from Molina, and then those that are kind of like me and nostalgic, want him to stay. But I could definitely see a situation where all three do return. I just think with Wayne right now, Cardinal, Molina is soon to follow, and Colton Wong, I think the book's still out on.
So playing armchair general manager, this is the biggest signing that we've had, and the people are upset with the moves the Cardinals have made. The Cardinals still made the playoffs last year. We lost to the Padres. Obviously, we needed a bat, but even bringing Wainwright back, that's a pretty big acquisition because we didn't need to bring Wainwright back. We have plenty of pitching options that we can throw out there. But I think bringing him back is a big move considering every other team in the division has gotten worse. Yeah. And a lot of teams have lost a lot of offense and lost a lot of good pitching. So hopefully with some of the good pitching leaving, that's going to make our hitters better. Just looking at things, I think with signing Wainwright, we've definitely moved up as far as where we were last year compared to the rest of the division. I'm not saying we can go out and beat the Dodgers and Padres with this current lineup unless Carp and Dexter play like they did 3-4 years ago, and O'Neill learns how to make consistent contact, and Bader focuses more on getting on base instead of how good his hair looks. Maybe that'll help. But I think with Carlson coming back last year after he got sent down, he played a lot better. So I don't want to get ahead of off topic. I'm trying to think of next year, but that's kind of what we saw it on the Facebook page in the group earlier. That something like this creates excitement for baseball. We're getting closer to baseball, closer to spring training. People are pumped up about Wainwright. Now they want to know what's going on with Yachty. We're greedy fans, all right. We got to bring one of them back, and then we sign one. Everyone says, "Great, what's next? Where's Yachty?" So take a few minutes, everybody. Enjoy that Wainwright's back for another year in a St. Louis uniform. He's going to be pitching for us, not against us, or we don't have to worry about seeing him in another uniform, which is terrifying. I don't want to see Molina. Not just terrifying to face him, but just just makes you puts a pit in your stomach and makes you not want to watch them play. And we don't have to check their stats and see how good they're being, or they go to another team and become amazing. But Wainwright back for another year is good. He's done okay for himself. He's had injuries off and on, but he won a Gold Glove in 2009, 2013. Silver Slugger Award because he's always been good with the bat. Hopefully, we'll have a DH this year. We don't have to worry. But Silver Slugger in 17, he's a 3-time All-Star. And then this last year, due to his humanitarian efforts, he won the Roberto Clemente Award for the Cardinals, which is a big deal for, I know a lot of the players seem to covet and take that award more personally and strive to try to get that award, I think. And he's done a lot of work with charities and his own charity and his fantasy football over the years. So I think that was a big deal for him. So it's going to be good to see him come back and see him in a Cardinal uniform. He's just a solid player. You look at him, and even though he's a Georgia boy and grew up a Braves fan, he's a Cardinal, and it's been exactly what the Cardinals have always envisioned with him. He's never been a head case or had problems, and when he's hurt, he's wanted to be out there. Or he's been the biggest cheerleader in the dugout when he hasn't played, trying to keep positive vibes. So I think it's a great deal for the Cardinals to bring him back, take stress off of them, takes stress off the team. He can be around and mentor some of these younger guys one more year. We've got a lot of guys that we got to figure out what we're going to do with. Our pitching depth is big right now, but after next year, not so much. Flaherty's a free agent. He's going to test the free agent market. Wayno won't be back. KK is going to be gone. I don't see them re-signing him. We've got a lot of younger guys, and I think we're going to be testing him this year to find out what we have, because we're going to need to know. I mean, after 2 years from now, we're going to have Mikolas and Hudson are the only two for sure things. I mean, you've got Gomber and Ponce, and Reyes only has one more year after this, so it'd be kind of nice to see him step up and see what he can do. But Wayno definitely gives us some added protection, and it never hurts to have too much pitching because people always get hurt.
Oh yeah, and even at his age, I think, like you said, he's not afraid to take on any role that the Cardinals need. I don't think he's too proud to say, "Hey, I have to be a starter." If something works out where he does take that 3 or 4 spot and holds on to it all season, that's exactly what we all want from him. Yeah. But worst case scenario, I could see him just doing whatever he can to contribute to the team going forward. And $8 million, even though I might not have seen that coming, I think it's worth it for the player that he is and the man that he is, because he's a great leader in the clubhouse, a great mentor to the young arms we have, and you probably couldn't ask for a better all around person anyway.
Right. I agree with you. So I was thrilled about it. I know you were, and we discussed jumping on, and kind of a little prelude for everybody. We're officially getting back into the podcast game. We've been talking internally and having our own little meetings. It may not be in the same format, but we're going to release it, and video and audio is the plan. We're going to try to stream that through YouTube. So I know we're going to upload this later. So please go to our YouTube channel, which will be in the link. Subscribe, like. We're also going to be doing some giveaways. We haven't finalized that. We're also looking at some different merchandise stuff. I know I'm a big collectibles guy. I got a lot of bobbleheads. We're talking about giving those away, but we're only going to do those for people that like and subscribe to the channel, because that's obviously what we're trying to get to. We're not in this to make money or ask for donations, but the reason we're going the YouTube route is because we just want to be able to pay for production and kind of spruce it up a little bit. This is kind of a quick run here, so we're just throwing this on, but we're going to try to make it a little more creative for you guys and a little more interactive. So keep following the page. Obviously, Chris only gets on there about once a week. I don't know if anybody knows him. He doesn't pay much attention to it. He's kind of makes the rest of us do all the work. He's just taking it easy. I had to wake him up for this. He just did that NyQuil commercial where he had a cold and took it and fell asleep for 4 months and woke up with that beard. He was clean shaven before he caught this cold. So he's back. He's feeling great. No, we appreciate everything Chris has done. He started this years ago, and we have a ton of people on both the pages. So it's been exciting to watch it grow. And we feel like the next thing to do for everyone there to watch and keep up is to follow, us with the podcast and kind of get a new way to reach people and hopefully bring new people to the page, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. And if you enjoy it, great. We hope you like and share and tell your fellow Cardinals fans. And if you don't, we just appreciate that you don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut and act like you like it.
Act like you like it.
Yeah.
No, to kind of go off what you said, I look forward to, what we're doing with the upcoming podcast, and, running the page and group with you and the other admin and moderators has been great. I'm sure down the road we'll do some Q&As with some group members and kind of get them involved in the show. And, that we like to interact on Facebook.
Sure.
We do a little bit on Twitter, but I mean, most of our interactions is on Facebook. But with the podcast coming out, we do hope you like and subscribe and, share our shows when we put them out, and keep engaging with us because we appreciate it. And we look forward to keeping it going for this season.
Yep. Awesome. I couldn't say it any better myself. So if you guys do have suggestions on what you would like to see or hear us talk about, just make your comments in the comments. Make your comments in the comments below. Let us know, and we'll talk about adding into the show, because we want to put out there what you guys want to see and hear talk about. We've talked about the length of them. We're going to try to keep them somewhat decent, short wise, so you can enjoy them in the car. Maybe people working from home, it'll give them something to do or listen to. We don't want to take up a bunch of your time, but what time that you're willing to share with us, we appreciate it. And I'm sure as we get closer, Chris, obviously we'll update everyone on the pages with when the time will be. We're going to try to record and then make sure it goes out roughly the same day every week, so everyone gets accustomed to, knowing when to look for us. But appreciate it. I don't have anything else this time. Chris, you have anything else you want to throw in?
No, I appreciate anybody that tunes into this, and look forward to what we're going to be doing going forward.
Yep, me too. And to end it, Wainwright is back for the 2021 season. It's exciting. We wanted to get on and talk about it. I know we're pumped up about it. We hope everybody else is too. Surely you are, Cardinals Nation. I know we want Yachty and Wong as well, and we also want 60 home run bat. So I know we'll try to get there. But this is great news. It's a great start before spring training. So hopefully there's more good news to come from Cardinals Nation, and we appreciate it very much. Thanks a lot. Go Cards.
Go Cards.